Welcome, everybody. Let's get the microphone. Welcome. Hope you're feeling well after the programming of what's called Christmas Day. I hope you've all got through it. I hope you enjoyed yourself just to take the break and have that time off, which is important to have time off, especially when you're enslaved in a working position. Not everybody, it's actually quite interesting. Not everybody is really up for being their own boss. Mine came very easily because I just couldn't work for anybody. I was unemployable, absolutely unemployable, because I can't take anybody telling me what to do. I just have this gut feeling inside. I mean, I did work for people who had respect and kindness, who didn't abuse their authority and power, and that was okay. That was quite nice. I found it shocking, though, that this idea that it almost seems like the word respect seems to be used in ways that doesn't make any sense. I'll give you a great idea. So my first boss was a Jewish guy. We used to play pool together, snooker together all the time. We used to, after finish work, we used to go, and I used to win him all the time, and he used to get pissed off. But he always wanted to play again. And when we used to play, I was a junior. And when we were playing, because he had no friends, because he wasn't a very nice man, but he seemed a very nice man. All the women thought he was wonderful, talked a great talk, but he wasn't such a nice guy, especially to his wife. So when we used to play snooker together, I used to think to myself, you're so different with me here than you are at work. And the lack of respect that he had, it was almost to a degree of contempt. It was, if that's the correct word, it was awful. And I used to feel sick about it. Now, there were some things that I gained from it, and I've said this many times before. I gained great experience from being, let's say, skivvy, whatever you call them. Basically, I used to have to wash everybody's hair who came in for three stylists. So if you know anything about that takes some doing. I also had to, in between, do I used to neutralizing perms. Back then we used to use foam to neutralize the perm. And anyway, so at the same time, I used to have to sweep around all the staff, all the hairdressers. I used to have to sweep around them and bring coffees and teas. And anybody who walked through the door, I used to have to run and bring them in and sit them down. Now, if you know anything about that, you normally need at least 2 or 3 minimum scabbies like me. But I did it for everybody, just about. So what I noticed was that he would never let me progress. He would never let me. He'd only kind of a little bit of bread here and there, just to, okay, we'll let you cut somebody's hair. There were those nights where people would come in as they were called models, and they wouldn't have to pay. And that was the time when juniors, or those slightly above juniors, would get a chance to cut hair. And he kept holding me back all the time. And I knew why he was doing it. And so what I used to do is I used to get my family to come, and friends come for a haircut. So he had no choice then. And I used to learn from not just him. I learned from Lindsay. I learned from James. And Yeah, it was good. It was great because Lindsay wanted to help me. She was a friend. She actually got me the job because she worked there. And so she taught me a lot. And I said to Lindsay one day, I'm never gonna move on, am I? It's been like 2 years now, and it was coming up to 3 years, and I'm like, I know I know how to clean this place back to front. I know how to manage clients. I know how to neutralize. I knew how to do everything, and I was pretty good at cutting at that time. Loved cutting hair. I wouldn't say I had to work hard at it. I wasn't that naturally gifted to be able to see an end product like some geniuses were, like Vidal Sassoon and way ahead of their time, Tony and Guy, and a company called Saks that had just come into the area from the north, I think, further from the north. But anyway, I heard that they're wanting hairdressers, and obviously I wasn't a qualified hairdresser, but I went for a job. I went for a job with another girl who worked for my boss, not Lindsay, another girl, and we went together. Now she was a hairdresser, and I was still a junior. Anyway, we both got the job. We went to Saks, and Barbara was the manager, and Barbara says, "Yeah, I would like to employ you, Mark. You're full of energy." I used to laugh all the time and joke, and had a great sense of humor at that time, and so I was easily employed as a junior. And I said, I don't want to be a junior. I want to be a stylist. And she says, well, what we can offer you is this. As soon as you come to work with us, we'll send you away for courses all the time, and we'll encourage you to become a stylist. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. And so I left Trevor. I said to Trevor, I'm going. And I remember his face. It was like, he was shocked. He was shocked because he never thought I would leave, because we used to play snooker together, and he thought, and I used to actually clean. I used to go to his house and clean up his garden and stuff. Yeah. So it didn't bother me. I just wanted to progress, and I just wanted to be an hairdresser. And he then said, I don't want you to go, Mark. And then started offering me everything that he should have offered me when I was working with him. And I said, it's a bit late. I said, I would never have gone if you would have given me the opportunity to grow. And but I've already accepted this job. Plus, I've got an extra. I think it was like £20 a week extra, something like that, back in the early 90s, and that was like a lot of money more. So he wasn't willing to pay any more, because that's the way certain people are. My point being that I found that the more you grow in a system that we live in, the more you are respected, and anybody who is to come into that system is less respected. And I find that offensive. I find it immoral, and I find it, to be honest, disgusting and cruel. I don't believe in office politics. I have no time for it, and I have no time for somebody pretending to be better than others. When Lindsay used to say, "Oh, Matt, could you shampoo this lady?" It was because she was really genuinely asking me, and it was my job anyway. But there's nothing wrong with asking with kindness and love and respect. It's just being nice. And then there's some people in this world who have this energy of a little bit of power, and it corrupts them. They turn into something else. So the reason why I speak about this is because the title of today is Power Corrupts. And there's something within certain people, not all, certain people. And you could argue that they were always corrupt inside anyway. And now that when they get into a position of power, now they're free to do what they always wanted to do. And that is to be an absolute demon, a monster. I'm going to share a story with you now, which is very personal to me and very close. So I know this firsthand. I knew a couple who I absolutely used to love. They were a wonderful couple, and they worked at a very, let's say, low ranking in anybody else's eyes position. So she was a cleaner, and he was a worker with like construction. And as I knew him over the years, how can I describe them? They were a couple who worked. Best way to describe it, like the best partnership you'll have ever seen. Like they were so lovely together, and they were so intuitive with each other. It was great to see, and the love and the respect for each other was very mutual, and it was wonderful to see. It really inspired me. And then this is quite a few years ago. Okay, and anyway, this is in this village, and they were a Spanish couple. And then one day I saw the lady, and I saw her out of the window, and she was dressed up like in a woman's suit, and I went, "Oh, she's dressed up. Where's she going?" And later I found out that I saw her in a suit more often. That the town hall, every so many years, they switch. So whoever wins, they go in. And funnily enough, this time, this beautiful lady who was a cleaner was involved with the very people who got into power. So then she got a job in the town hall. Now, I've known this couple for years. So what I was watching was, in real time. And as I'm watching week by week, month by month, we've now come to a point that she no longer looks at people in the same way. She looks down on them. She feels that she is in a superior position of power to make powerful decisions, which she is. That I know she is. And I've seen the degrading of her friendships and relationships, and it's bloody heartbreaking to watch in real time. So I find it fascinating. I've seen it for many years. Power corrupts. And you only know somebody really when they have power. And what is power anyway? It's a means of telling somebody else to do something, or it's the means to be able to pay for somebody else to do something. So power could mean that you now have 100,000 euros in your bank account, or 1 million, and now you have the power to do what you want. I have a cleaner that comes to the office, and that comes here, and that comes to our home once a week. She does them all. She's a lovely soul. We treat her exactly the same as anybody treats me. And she's like part of the family. And she's loved and respected. And we help her whenever we can in so many ways. And she helps us. And it's what's called mutual. I always pay more because she deserves it. And it's hard work. And if she ever goes anywhere, on holiday. Like I think last year she went to India. I gave her a few €100 as an extra to go, and I'm always as kind as I can. Now, that's no different from any of the staff, and that's how I see it. When I was a hairdresser, one thing that I learned when I opened my first hairdressing salon was the knowledge that I learned of how I was treated. So then when anybody came to work for me as a junior, I treat them as I closed my eyes and saw myself wanting to be treated when I was a junior. They were called juniors back then. So, I would make sure that I cleaned the toilets because I'm the boss and I'm cleaning the toilets. If anybody made a mess, I would clean the toilets and make sure I showed the juniors that I would do anything before them. And I found that there was a lot of then mutual respect where the juniors would say, no, I'm cleaning the toilets. I want to clean, but that was because there was an understanding. It's invisible, but that to me is respect. When you respect them and you honor them because you know that they're really important to this work, and we are all important no matter who we are as a team, then I think juniors can see that and have respect for that. And I thought that was lovely. I wrote down here, need. This is the key. The need for, I guess, I'm talking about humanity now. The need that also corrupts humanity. So I've spent my time not chasing need. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. If anything comes, it's a bonus. But I don't chase the need. I don't need somebody to fix me. I don't need a wife to be with me. I don't need anything. But if anything comes, I'm going to respect it and love it. So the word need has been erased from my vocabulary. The reason why it's been taken away is because I know how dangerous need is. And this is the whole point right now in what I see in humanity. Humanity is blinded, is corrupted by the need. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you look around every day now, you see people in need. Like, I need this, I need that. And when you don't need something, it means that you can deal with it yourself. You can manage it yourself. Not everything, but I'm talking about some of the greatest things that humanity is flawed by. We're flawed by this need. So the need for a hero, we're in a perfect opportunity to witness firsthand that the need for a hero has never ended well. Because no matter who goes for that position, if somebody said to me, why don't you become president, Mark? Because that is not what somebody who is filled with love and compassion would want. Because to be a president means that you would have to be corrupt in some way. You would have to upset half of the people, and half of the people will love you because you give them what they want, and other half that you don't give them what they want will hate you. Anybody who's a loving, kind person doesn't want that responsibility, because that responsibility shouldn't be on the hands of one person. It should be in the hands of communities, in my humble opinion. But the point being is that now we're at a point where we've got a new hero. We've had heroes before. You look at them all. Obama in America, the hero that was going to change the world, that actually caused more wars than anybody, and so on. And, there's a new guy with a messy haircut called Boris Johnson, who deliberately messed his hair up before he walked out of the door or of a car. Deliberately. That was all a show, because they're all showmen. All of them. They're all liars, basically. And they're all, baby kissers. But this need is humanity's fault, and that's why when the great Jordan Maxwell said, "You deserve the government you get, and you get the government you deserve," is quite rightly so, because of the way humanity behaves and is programmed to need a hero. And now we have a new hero in the disguise of the new mainstream, new independent media called Elon Musk. And here we have yet again another moment in time where humanity is falling for the same bullshit, just a different person. And and it's a really unpopular place to be when you call out the truth. And I'm not calling out Elon Musk. I'm just saying that you're just going to be let down yet again by another hero, and the same plays out. And then he goes, and then another hero comes in, and nothing ever changes. And power corrupts all the time. If you even look at the English establishment, if you look at, let's say, the Queen, everybody loved the Queen and thought she was amazing because she cut ribbons and so on. And yet, if you look in history, you can see that they came into power because they were the strongest and the most deadliest. You don't ever get beautiful, kind, loving souls in power. You get the worst of the worst that pillage and rape and kill and murder to get to where they are. I'm not saying the Queen did that, but I'm saying that to get to that kind of level of power, you have to be on top of all of the rest of the scallywags out there. And I find it very hard to justify that somebody can have 10, 20, 30 castles and own most of the most beautiful land that you're not allowed to walk around in the UK and not pay a single penny in taxes. And everybody's fine with that. Everybody's fine. Oh, don't they look lovely? Aren't they a wonderful family? Again, for me, nobody should be above you. Nobody should be in a gold carriage. And I don't just mean, I'm not just picking on the UK establishment. I'm talking about all of the tyrants, all the scallywags, all the murderers and thugs in charge of different countries. And they all know each other. They all sit down and have coffee on their thrones with each other, selling whatever it may be, weapons or, whatever skullduggery they're all up to. My point being is I don't take well to authority, and I don't take well to heroes, and I don't have a hero when it comes to somebody saying they're going to change the world. Like everybody's saying, thank God for that. Donald Trump's going to be in there and everything's going to be fine. And it's always unpopular to say you're doing exactly what you did last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. And you keep saying, yeah, but this time it's different, but this time it's different. And it's never different. It's always the same. The same machine keeps going, keeps moving. And the world could be in a much better state, but for the people that still insist on having a hero or somebody to fix the world, I find it bizarre that they can continue to do this and fool the world year after year. Maybe we come to a point that we realize that those that say that they're going to fix the world are only puppets, actors, fantastic lifetime actors who fit into the system, and they're perfectly positioned to do their master's bidding, which is to always keep this power hungry system, and it's a global one, going. So I find that fascinating, find it really interesting. That was my observations today of power corrupts. And yeah, I've seen very few people who have got to a place of power, whether it's even a small amount of power, whether they get a position of I don't know, they work in a corporation and now they've got a better position, and then you can see how they look down on their fellow friends who they worked with, and now they have no time for them. And there's a difference between power corrupts and spiritually evolving, in the sense of, I no longer want to bitch and talk about, nasty things, or, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be your friend anymore, because this isn't the way I want to go. I don't want to talk bad of people. I want to evolve and start to focus on things that help me awaken to the real purpose of life. And bitching, I just don't want to do that anymore. And that can be a relationship, that can be friendships, and that's a different topic. That's, sometimes you have to leave people behind to raise your understanding and awareness. But what I'm talking about today is in a workforce where you're best friends with somebody, and then your boss says, I'm employing you to today, you're going to get a better position, and you're higher up, and then all of a sudden you don't give your friends a second thought again. You don't have no feeling of guilt, thinking, I hope my friends don't get upset with me because in fact, I don't really know if I want this job or not, to be honest, because I don't want to fall out with my friends and them look at me any differently. And you say, that's why no beautiful souls ever go into power, because they wouldn't want that responsibility. It's not something that none of us want. And for me, when I've got a problem at work and there's a few of us, we come together as a team to organize it. And if somebody's upset or there's an issue, we come together and figure it out, or they figure it out themselves. I don't breathe down the neck and say anything to them and say, look, you do this, you do that. That's not who I am. And when people say, but you have to be like that. No, you don't. That was said to me a long time ago. Don't ever become close with your staff. Keep them at arm's length. Never show a sign of weakness to them. And that's bullshit, because the people who work in markbayerski.com, we're all friends, and we have respect for each other, and we all get on well. So I think a lot of the times we're brainwashed by a system that just throws in these things to make us, think, oh, this is the way we have to behave. Oh, we have to buy presents at Christmas. Oh, we have to buy an Easter egg. Oh, it's Black Friday. We have to spend money on Black Friday. And all the things that I say, there's so many programs that are given to us daily. There's a next Netflix. Netflix is now all pure. It's ultimately pure evil, in and amongst some things that are okay. But most things now, Netflix is an extension of what the precursor of pedophilia is all about. So basically, pedophilia and AI, I consider them both equally as bad, because they're both going to corrupt humanity and eventually cause so much suffering. the AI will cause enslavement and pedophilia will cause abuse to the world. Something was put on, and it was created 2023. So last year, it won 4 Academy Awards or Oscars for the girl who played the leading role. It's a sick and twisted, more than any of the films that are on there now. I watched 15 minutes of it just to see what it was about and realized it was the grooming of pedophilia, and it was about a girl who had fallen off, who jumped off a bridge and died, and this man who is I don't know if you remember the lead actor in this. He looks almost like he's the Making of Frankenstein. His face is all cut up. I don't know the name of the film because I just watched 15 minutes of it and I was disgusted by it. Horrendous. And it was all pro pedophilia. So the woman who died, the scientist, William Defoe was the scientist who took a baby's brain and put it into the woman who died, and the woman came to life and she was walking like a child. And then there was also, it was horrific. It was horrific in all sense. And yeah, I'm sure it won so many awards. Anyway, I did a little bit of digging into it and I started looking who directed it. And it's somebody who's won many awards from Greece. And then I looked at who was the director, the guy who. Anyway, I kept looking, and then we found that the guy who wrote the book was from Scotland, and he's one of these who kind of writes science with, I don't know, out of this world fantasy. And then I did a little bit more digging and found that there was some kind of issue with him, and something that didn't get taken down by a guy who had abused or raped, and he was pro the artwork, which was left up on some kind of wall somewhere. And so straight away you realize now it's a big club and it's all pedophilia. So when I watched 15 minutes of it, there was so much in that film that was normalizing pedophilia in its own sick and twisted way, that when I say that all roads lead to pedophilia, I believe it's true. And I believe that we are inundated with men and women who are sick individuals who, that's why so many children go missing every year. I don't know if you know about for many years it's been talked about that there is an alien race in this world that come and go and stay here. They live in frequencies that vibrate. Nobody really truly 100% knows because it's all hush hush. And many years ago, there was an agreement between alien races, of more than one. There's quite a lot of alien races. And what we are to them is food in energy, food in ways of, you've heard of adrenochrome, right? It's when you take something that the human body creates. My understanding, it's created when there's a lot of fear, and then they take it from children, which is more potent, and then they inject it. Apparently, the alien race injects it into them, and it's like it's like a heroin, or it's like a cocaine to their body. So it's a buzz to them. So they use this, and that's what feeds them in a sense. I don't know whether this is real or not. I'm not sure about that. But what I do know what's real is the trafficking. And I mentioned it in one of my videos, the hush hush trafficking that's always taking place, children going missing every day. And there is a criminal organization globally that traffics children for the worst heinous of crimes, and also sold for whatever reason they're sold for. We all know the worst case scenarios of these things, that they're never seen again and used for 3 years. So I mentioned that one of the reasons why I felt at that time, because I did some studying, and I'm sure you might have done some study as well, but there's always false flags whenever something is about to be exposed. So the criminals know this, and they then create something. So why now was the question I posed. Why now all of these so-called alien orbs? Why now? What is it that they're trying to deflect so that we look up, so we don't look what's happening? And I just scanned the internet for about a couple of hours, and I came up with 3 or 4 different reasons why. And Trump wasn't one of those reasons why. What I did notice is there was something that it took me a while to find, but it talked about 200,000 children going missing in Guatemala. And only now people are talking about it. I mean, literally, mums and dads just losing their children that night or that afternoon or that day. And there were just tons of children going missing. And there were a few people who were brave enough to talk about it. And I thought, this makes perfect sense. So then I said to you on one of my last videos that every time there's a big major event, there's something they're covering up. So if you remember back in 9/11, prior to 9/11, there was in Congress, they subpoenaed certain officials in, whether it was the Pentagon or whoever it was in charge of the funding of the money, where it just disappears anyway. You all know what I believe about funding and money and the pot of gold and how they would need to steal it. And I think most of you might have remembered that they were being questioned to the discrepancy. Can you imagine discrepancy? You mean the theft? Where has all this money gone? And they were starting an inquest about all of these trillions of dollars going missing in the government in America. And then, surprise, surprise, they had their 9/11. And funnily enough, the Pentagon, where all of this paperwork was meant to be, there was a plane, apparently, you mean a rocket, that hit the exact same place where all that paperwork was. So, these are criminals that run this world. And the criminals that run this world get away with criminal behavior. And if we dare question that, just like the criminal would shoot somebody on the street, they will do the same to you. It's now absolutely, in my opinion, that all global governments work in the same tyrannical way. So there isn't, Germany, Holland, Belgium, all of them work in the same way. I don't care whether one has, allowed this to happen. They drip feed little things to just keep the people at peace. Bread and circuses, they call it. And the false flags are smoke and mirrors. And so for me, we live in a world of tyranny run by the most heinous of monsters. And more and more people are recognizing their dirty tricks every day. and the lack of respect for authority, you can now see why I've never had any respect for authority, whether it be my schooling system, my teachers, whether it be telling me how to read history and what the history books I should be learning. All of those things that I opposed and didn't want to read because I didn't believe any of it. And I knew it was all a waste of time, and I knew it was all programming. And then moving out into the world where people told me this is how it works. And I'm saying, no, it isn't how it works. It's how you think it works, but it's not how I'm wanting it to work. So I changed, the way that I saw my life and how I wanted to lead it. And as I got older and older, I became more confident into changing and breaking free from that program that was constantly 24/7. And it started when I broke free from my country. I left my country to go somewhere else, to experience a new path and journey. And that takes some guts. It takes confidence. It takes trust, even though I didn't know. And that's why I share with people, it's good sometimes to leave your country and go somewhere else, because it opens your eyes. Because sometimes we're so much in a bubble that we just eat, drink, sleep, and work. And when you break that bubble, when you burst that bubble, when you leave that bubble and you look back at that bubble, you went, wow, if I was still in that bubble, I would be still eating, drinking, sleeping, and working. And I'd probably be knackered. I'd probably be ill. I'll look 20 years older. I probably would just have had one holiday a year. And so sometimes breaking free from the prison that has been programmed into us, that this is the right thing to do, I would say break free from your prison this year and do something that you've never done. I'm not saying it's going to bring you great happiness and wealth and prosperity, and it's going to put you on your path, but it's certainly going to give you an experience that you've never had before. And it's something to think about. Just do something different, and don't fall for the lies that government tell you. Don't listen to what they say. In fact, my suggestion would be, if whatever your government tells you all at once around the world, do the opposite, and you'll live longer and you'll be happier and healthier. So that's my chat today. That's my little conversation. There's so many things happening this year. I think there's going to be so many things thrown at you. If you're not strong enough and you're not able to cope with it, and you're not able to discern, then you're going to struggle this coming year. You've got to be on your toes. You've got to stand strong. You've got to be strong in your mind and know that everything is a play. Everything is a guy knocking on your door saying to you, your house is falling down. And you go, oh my God, what do I do? Well, we need to charge you for all of these things, or else your house is going to fall down and could kill you and kill other people. So your foundations aren't good. This is a scallywag who's come off the street, who's just trying to rip you off. This is how you need to see the government. The government is a scallywag. All they do all day is spend all their time trying to figure out sophisticated ways of stuffing you up the backside and taking everything they can from you and leaving you with as little as possible. And that pot of gold, when they've raped all that money from you, all that money that doesn't belong to them, when they've put it in the pot of gold, they think of dubious ways of stealing that money. And that is normally through wars, through hatred, and through all the lies and deceptions of sicknesses that aren't there, illnesses that aren't there, and so on, telling you that there's another there's another issue, and we found out. Don't listen to anything they say. They're liars. They're constant liars and cheats. And right at the very top, right at the highest level of power, remember, they were the ones that got there, and to get there they needed to be the strongest and the ones that killed and did the worst things. That's who they are, and that's who are in power. That's who are at the tops of the CEOs. They're all criminals that have got there via criminal acts, not via love or kindness. Love and kindness doesn't get you anywhere in this world if you want power. It doesn't get you there. You'll never get there. So that's the way it is. That's my chat today. I hope you're all doing fine. This video was this podcast was only food for thought, and my observations and my feelings and my opinions are simply my own, and I can change them at any given moment. But right now, what I feel about those people in the world, like the Donald Trumps and like the Elon Musks and the corporations and the all of them, they all play a role in this game. I call it the shit show, and they're in it, and they're in it for themselves, and they will tell you what they want you to hear, no matter how wonderful you think they are and what they've done for this world. You need to look through the bullshit and see it. If I owned a car company and my car set on fire and killed one person, I would be in prison in 5 minutes for creating something that was dangerous. How can Elon Musk create a car that has killed 290 people, burnt to death 290 people in his cars, and still is hailed a hero? And it's unpopular. It's unpopular. He's taken over X and he's giving everybody free speech. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. You go on ChatGPT now and type in, I would like an image of Elon Musk and Elliot Carver together, and with a few words of saying something like, power corrupts, or the modern day version. Elon Musk is the modern day version of Elliot Carver. That is the guy from James Bond film where he was in control of global media, the crazy man. And it will say to you, ChatGPT will, this is what ChatGPT said. I couldn't generate the image as requested because it doesn't align with our content policy. Let me know if you like assistance with a different idea or project. You see, ChatGPT, where we're listening and thinking, oh, he's got nothing to do with it because he was calling it out. That tells you very different. I've been taken off 3 X accounts, shut off, can't get into them. Wonder why that is. Because I called him out on his car, because his car went into crazy mode and run down a child in an Asian country. And I took that video and posted it. And then I couldn't get back into my account. Don't fall for the bullshit, guys. Just don't fall for the bullshit. I posted a video as well. I don't know if it's still here or not. Let's have a look. Where did I post it now? Post it here, maybe. Schools train people to be ignorant with style. Just watch Donald Trump in a minute. Ignorant with style. They give you the equipment that you need to be a functional ignoramus. American schools do not not that one.
To deal with things like logic. They don't give you the criteria by which to judge between.
Oh yeah, look, it's got false information, so that shows you that it's correct. But let's just watch the full read and watch.
Oh, what was the scariest moment of the journey?
It could have been scary. We we watched you guys land on the moon. What? Because they went on television. When they take the picture, you watch animation. If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put into the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible? Swear to God, you walked on the moon.
Mr. Simon, on you, that's probably a fifth Bible.
Really?
Because we did. That's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, at some point in the future, we'll look back and say, how did we do it without space? The Vice President will serve as the Council's chair. Privatization of certain aspects is going to be very crucial. We are truly into it. I will say that's not easy because everybody wants to be on this board. People that you really believe they love what you're doing so much, they want to be some of the successful people in the world.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Did you see Donald Trump going along with the script? Donald Trump was talking there, and you saw one of the guys who was supposedly landed on the moon. You just looked at his face. He can't even keep a straight face anymore for the lie. And Donald Trump was going along with a lie like he doesn't know. Of course he knows. They all know. But my point being is, I can show you tons of things of Donald Trump, of what he's done. And, you know, I remember at the time where we were all freaking out, those that knew that something so bad was about to happen. And we were being censored, and I think that's when it all started with fact checkers. That's when it started. That's when we knew, where's this come from? Why has this just come up? It's come up because they knew what they needed to do, and now we know. We knew this anyway, but people are now are starting to realize. But there was a man called Donald Trump stood next to Fauci and allowing him to speak. And Donald Trump set in motion something called warp speed, right? And that was to get the vaccines everywhere. And he was stood there allowing it. Whether he said, well, you can do what you want, the choice is up to you. That never happened. There wasn't a choice. So even in that administration, there's people still defending a man that allowed this to happen. So there's loads of reasons why, you know, and you could argue and say, well, if he isn't in and somebody else got in, it would be a lot worse. My argument to that is it doesn't matter who gets in. The system still continues. The darkness, those at the very top still continue doing what they're doing. That is trafficking. That is all the worst satanic things you can imagine. So that's my, you know, drain the swamp. And then he surrounds himself with neocons. I mean, come on, guys. How many times does it take for people not to wake up and to believe and to want a hero? I think that's the downfall of humanity, in my humble opinion. So, yeah, I wish you well, guys. Big hugs to you all. And I've got great news here. Some great news for this year. My great news is like getting crystals and working on them. That's the limit of my great news. So, the other great news is that I want to put out the book, The Ancient Art of Flower Readings, before the Moldavite book, and I stopped it, but it's going to be ready, hopefully at the end of this month, because it's back in motion again. So I've agreed a price on editing and what have you. So the final edit. So that's been done now, which again is a fortune. But once that's done, then we can then look for a book publisher and and get a nice, beautiful book cover. So that will be out soon. So that'll be a nice thing to learn how to read flowers. And at the back of the flower reading book, it also has beautiful 50 images of your most favorite flowers with a nice little message. So whatever flower you love, it tells you what you like. And if there's a flower that you've been given, or a flower that you vibrate at that week, just read the flower, and it has a message. And so that's lovely as well. So that's it, really. Nothing much else happening. I've got a box here, a box of Moldavites that I'm about to work on this week, which are museum pieces that are beautiful, not cheap, but really beautiful. So I managed to get some of them. And yeah, I've got some beautiful pieces of Morsitsi, some bigger pieces, which I'm really pleased about. And some great news as well. Do you remember me asking you if you could give me some ideas of what crystals you want together in a pendant? Well, I think my first 5 that I created should be here, hopefully very shortly. So I can't wait to show you them. And they're your creations. I listened to you and created them for you. So I hope you appreciate them. And so some lovely things happening the start of this year. And I wish you all a lovely day. Although this conversation may seem down and it might piss some people off, and I'm sorry if it does. I don't mean to upset anybody, but we should be allowed to have our truth and speak our truth. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there that it's not that I don't believe, but I don't align to their conversation at all, but I'll still listen to them because I want to hear if there is something in there that might be truth. Because normally when anybody talks, there's truth in everything that they say. There's always a bit of truth in something. Even what I say, there should be a bit of truth there that you might align with. Not all of it, and I don't expect you to align with all my truth at all. That's just egoistic. But to share some of the things might take you down a path that then I'm listening to you. And that surely is how it should work. Freedom of speech should not be censored by somebody saying, Donald Trump, say what you want. Elon Musk, say what you want. Doesn't matter who you are, say what you want. That should always be allowed. No matter who you are, say what you want. It's up to me whether I want to listen to it or believe it. It's up to me whether I should be, offended. But let me be offended. That's all I've got left. I should have the right to be offended. Or else we're just fucking robots. And we'll end up just with one hive mind. And we'll be the Borg. So I wish you all a lovely day. Hopefully this year we'll be doing a lot more deep dives into spirituality, if we have time in this madness that we're trying to. The most important thing is to navigate through this madness so we don't get sick. And I don't want you to be ill, and I don't want to be ill. I want to have the healthiest life I can up to the moment I leave this body. And that's what I want for you guys. So what I share with you is ultimately what I share with myself. I look at these things and I, most of the people online who share things, they don't align to it. They just share it because it's clickbait. Most of the influencers are sharing stuff that they wouldn't wear, or they wouldn't believe in, or they wouldn't do. There's very few people who talk the talk and walk the walk. And that's what you have to discern these days, because everybody's trying to sell something and they don't believe in what they're selling. They're just playing to the audience. They're actors. Just be aware of that. And authenticity is so important these days to be aware of. Know people, understand them, do some research, see who they are and what they're saying, because you can end up, things can be dangerous. It can. So I wish you a lovely day, guys. It's been great talking to you. I am going to shoot off now and take my little doggy for a walk. I'm wishing you all a lovely day till tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me. Bye.